the fact that the whole of the country, the whole of South Africa, has been in quite a severe drought. And yes, we have had rain, which is great for us. I'm really, really grateful that it has come. But it's still not nearly enough. You know, a couple of mils here and there. We need to have about 500 milliliters of rain to qualify as this being a good rainy season. Now, last year we had about 120, maybe 150 in the Sabi Sands. This year promises to be much the same, and it does put the animals under tremendous pressure. Even cats like Karula. How incredibly camouflaged she is. Next time you're in Kruger and you're driving past some of the big trees along the rivers, always take a moment to stop and peer into them. I'm just looking at her and the way that she's positioned now. It looks like the least comfortable spot I've ever seen well, no, not quite, but it almost looks like the most uncomfortable position. Her head is dangling, her bottom is sort of wedged onto a very small, uncomfortable looking stick. That doesn't look cozy at all, Karula. Shame, man. You didn't pick the best comfortable tree to sit in. Now, Karula is dangling off the edge, and I know that Alexia wanted to know, do leopards ever fall out of trees? The answer is yes, although for the most part they tend to be very dexterous, very balanced animals. I have seen leopard cubs in particular fall out when they're still learning a bit about their coordination and balance. I've seen her grandson attempt to climb trees and then promptly fall out of them. It does happen. This is one of the really special things about working out here, is just the amount of leopards that we have and that we get to see, and that are very comfortable in our presence. Hey, big girl. Thank you. Brief look in our direction. A passing glance by the Queen. We should feel honored. I've said that we've got lots of leopards around us, and Line, you were wondering how many we have in just this tiny part of the Sabi Sands that we work in. We work in an area of about 1,600 hectares in an area, as I said, of 2.7 million. But we've got a tiny little segment. We have Karula here. We have her daughter Shadow, two really big dominant males, Tingana and Mvula, as well as Karula's slightly older sons, Quarantine Kunuma, and then a couple of other random leopards that move around. So Kotile, who comes in every now and again, the Anderson male. We reach up into about 10 that we see every now and again, but most regularly it's Karula and her daughter Shadow, as well as Tingana and Mvula. Now they are solitary, but we've spent some very interesting time with Karula and Tingana recently. We look at that beautiful spot pattern of hers. She's not showing us her face today, but Zoya, you were wondering how we're able to tell the leopards apart. When you spend as much time with them as we do, you start to recognize them almost instantly. You find the more you look at them, the more differences you see, but each individual leopard has a unique spot pattern and a unique look to them, as well as every now and again you might find one with a notch out of its ear. That is what we're looking for. And there's a way of counting whisker spot patterns as well, and that gives you a unique pattern on each side around their whiskers. Now Karula, if she would kindly look at us, but almost, no, not so much. Not so much. Hey girl, you're too asleep to look at us. She's got a wow. Her spots spell out the word wow between her eyes. Now, we've spent some amazing time with her, but our time is short, and I want to head out and find some other amazing things to show you. And there we go. Hello, girl. Karula is quite a small female, but all leopards, there's a very, very big difference between the size of the males and the females. So the male that she was mating with recently, Tingana, he's about double her size in weight, and his neck is very, very thick. And that's usually the best way to tell the difference between the males and the females. You know how male lions have manes to help protect them if they get into fights with each other? Well, male leopards have a similar dewlap. Oh, hello, girl. You up? Male leopards have a similar, very thick, very muscular neck to protect them. There she goes. Oh, big yawn. There's very, very little meat left on her kill. But Isabella, you were wondering how long she'll feed on one. With this impala, it's lots and lots of meat for her. So she's been here since Monday, feeding on this carcass. And she is probably nearly finished. I think she's going to be gone by tonight, possibly even this afternoon. I think she's thinking about it. I'm going to shuffle forward ever... no, I'm actually not. I'm going to just let her respond and decide what she wants to do without disturbing her. Mentioned that we've seen Karula mating with Tingana, and there's a very, very good chance that she is pregnant right now. Where's she gonna go? I think she's gonna come down the tree, or she's finding somewhere else. You can see how she disappears into the foliage. Which way are you gonna go, girl? Now, Nyaleti, I've said she might be pregnant, and you were wondering how many cubs has she had. And the answer is, I think it's somewhere in the region of 11 litters that she's had in the past. And she's raised most of them successfully from adulthood. Now, there was a very sad situation at the start of the year where her cubs were taken by spotted hyenas. And that does happen, especially when they're very little. They can't climb trees as well as their mothers, and they are hidden away, tucked in thick bush. But unfortunately, in this particular case, the spotted hyena found them and killed them. It's something that happens out here. It's very, very sad for the females, though. Now, Carrero, you were wondering if cubs ever eat in the tree with the females. Yes, they do. And it's interesting to watch how different leopards handle their cubs and raise their cubs. Her daughter Shadow has also had several litters of cubs, and she's lost almost all of them. And there's a lot of questions as to why Shadow doesn't drag her kills up into trees as often as Karula does, as she's done here. But once cubs are a little bit bigger, with the sort of the age of around 2 to 3 months, then they can start eating meat, and they can go up into trees with their mothers. Now she's settled down and gone back to sleep again, looking distinctly uncomfortable, as always. And I think we'll say goodbye to Karula for now and head out and see what else we can find. We've got lots and lots of exciting and small things that I need to show you. One in particular, as a sign of summer, is a nest hole, and I've got a special video to show you. Let's head across and do that. A lot of time out on foot in the bush, and a lot of time in the vehicles with the different animals that we get out here. And Zoe, you were wondering which is more dangerous, a lion or a leopard? In my opinion, leopards probably are a little bit more dangerous, but it's important to remember that actually all animals out here are wild and unpredictable at times. You never know what's happening in an animal's life. Now, in my experience, lions are afraid of people. And that depends again on where you are or where you're, the sort of life that the lion has had. First of all, there's different circumstances. So lions are much bigger than leopards, so they can do more damage, but leopards are phenomenally strong and much, much faster. And that's important to remember as well. But both of them are equally dangerous, particularly when they have cubs. And you'll usually find, both with lions and with leopards, that it's the females that are the most dangerous and the ones to look out for. And generally my worst lion charges, where they've come running at me to warn me, to send me away, have been females, quite often I think guarding cubs. But it's important again to remember that none of these animals are out to get you. They are far more afraid of us than we are of them. And they just need to be treated with utmost respect. As we leave our 11-year-old wonderful Queen of Juma, if you were wondering what a leopard's lifespan is, it can be up to about 20 in the wild. You do get them some exceptional cases living a bit longer, but those are generally in captivity. So for Karula, she's probably got quite a few years left, but life gets a little bit more difficult the older they get. Oh, the sun's coming out. How wonderful. A bit of a driving experience. Claire, you were wondering how old Shadow is. Shadow is Karula's oldest daughter in this area. Shadow's 9 years old, so it would have been Karula's first set of cubs that she had as a very, very young female. They usually breed for the first time at around 2. So there's a 2 years age difference between Karula and her daughter Shadow. And Ruby, you were wondering if Shadow stays with Karula. Leopards are interesting that way. They're solitary, but what happens is when the cubs are slowly getting to be independent, the females tend to leave their mothers first and go off on their own mission, but they won't move too far away from their mothers. So generally you'll find in an area, the females, although they don't interact too much and they don't spend much time with each other, it's usually a female and her daughters. So Shadow's territory, although she doesn't spend that much time with Karula, is just to our western side of where we are now. And the borders are fluid. So sometimes Karula will be in the east and Shadow will come across into the western edges of her territory. And it changes like that. If they do encounter each other, they don't actually like to spend generally all that much time. They don't socialize in the way that we might think they would. And sometimes if they encounter each other, they'll actually growl at each other. That being said, you never ever predict what an animal's going to do. So I know there are recorded cases of mothers sharing kills with their daughters as well as their granddaughters. So leopards know and remember those family bonds. And they're far more aggressive towards females that have come into their territory that are not related to them in any way. What I'm going to show you is one of the signs of summer, but before I do that, Chloe, you wanted to know, how does Karula kill her prey? Leopards are incredibly fast, incredibly efficient hunters, and they rely mainly on stealth. But that being said, they can cover 22 meters in 1 second. So they'll use their camouflage, wait for an antelope to get close to them, and then cover that distance incredibly quickly before the antelope even has a chance to respond. So they're phenomenal in that way. And then what they'll do is they will tackle the animal usually around the throat. Sometimes if it's a small antelope, then they can crush the brain case, but for the most part it's a stranglehold around the throat. And usually a very quick, very clean death for that creature. The reason I've stopped here is we're going to have a look at this hole that is in the marula tree, and then I'm going to show you why in a moment. Let me just get the video for you. This is something we've been monitoring over the last few days. Now, in there, how many of you have seen a lilac-breasted roller? Those beautiful bright colored birds. Now what if I told you that about 1 meter down in that hole, there are some baby lilac-breasted rollers, and I'm going to try and see the lights actually come back out, which might make it a bit difficult. But let me see if I can try and show you a video of what they look like. I'm going to reposition so that the sun doesn't go straight onto the screen and block it from you. Let's see if we can make this work, Andrew. I'm not sure if we can. Let's try. Try and shade a little bit with my hat. The video is dark, but I'm hoping you might be able to get to see them. Let's get it ready. Now this was at the very first, let me turn it this way. That might help. Can you see there, Andrew? Was it reflecting? Tilting it down a little bit. There's tiny little baby birds. Absolutely minuscule. 9 days later, try and tilt a little bit. No, man. Here we go. 9 days later, look at the feathers on them. It's incredible how fast they start to get that adult plumage. The mothers have been backwards and forwards feeding them. How cool is that we get to monitor them? It takes them about 20 days to go from hatching to fully fledged, able to fly. When you think about what has to go on in their bodies in terms of producing those feathers and producing all of that keratin, it is the most phenomenal, mind-boggling process. And their parents are kept very busy, which is why I'm going to leave them for now. Their parents are kept very busy coming and going to feed them. Oh, there she is. There's Mom. Let me try and stop so I can show you what those birds are going to look like. That's right, Mommy. There you go. You're doing a fantastic job. She's actually caught something. Now that is what those baby birds are going to look like. There we go. Look at those incredible different colors. Now, the amazing thing about birds is that those blues and purples are actually created by clear keratin. So it's made more by the refraction and reflection of light, so the way that the light is bouncing back, than it is by color pigments. Birds only have black color pigments and then yellow color pigments. The rest of it is created by light reflection. It's incredible to think about. I still can't really wrap my mind around that. And there are one or two exceptions, but that is the general rule. I've also spotted one of my favorite animals out here, and I'm going to try and see if they're going to be cooperative. They're not always, but they are sometimes.